Welcome to the Friday podcast, number 105. Let's get the party started. Hope y'all are doing wonderful. Thank y'all for waiting for the episode. I didn't get to print out the papers, so this time I am just reading them off the laptop. Which fun. It's funny because you're not supposed to actually put them on your lap. Because it'll mess up your ability to have kids, I think. Or can. I remember telling my son that he was younger, and I was like, look, if you think you might want kids later, I wouldn't do that. And he thought about it for a couple seconds, and he was like, it's like put it on something instead of directly on his lap. I forgot how old he was. He might have been like 10 or some shit. Probably something crazy for me to say. Anyway, it's been a crazy week, but still been a blessed week. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully y'all feel the same. I mean, hopefully I had a more chill week than I did, but hopefully y'all feel the same about blessed. Blessed even though there's a mess on my dresser. Yes sir. Gotta get some rest up. Call me the Chester. Cheeto. Got the glasses on. Coming through like burrito. It seems to me that the only times I dream is when I get extra sleep, because then I really get in the realm. Alright, so last night I had a dream, and I used to dream a lot about working at this clothing store that doesn't exist anymore, called Levine's. Well, it might exist, but the one that I used to work at doesn't exist. It became something else. Text me. I kind of want to read it, but I'm going to have to wait. Alright, so I had a dream that I was back working there, and it was kind of crazy because, like, they had a bunch of people working the early shift, and I was going to be the only one working the night shift, and I hadn't worked there in a long time. Like, in the amount of time since I've dreamed that I would work there. And so I was like, yo, kind of, I guess, I don't know. It was pretty interesting. And so there was like 5 people working there, and then they were all about to take out. I was like, yo, nobody else comes in, I'm gonna just close shop. Man, I'm gonna dip. And they're like, all right, whatever. And then it became a grocery store, which happens sometimes. And I was like, yo, man, I'm rarely here. You're gonna have to be patient with this one customer. They're kind of tripping. And I gotta use the restroom, that's available. Okay, cut. 3, 2, 1. Action. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Friday podcast that's coming out late again. Number 105, my friends, my beautiful friends, beautiful spirits, beautiful souls. Man, I'm too cold. So, not really, I'm kind of warm. Yesterday was crazy. That's why I didn't record. I was exhausted mentally. But the job needs to be done, my friends. And for whatever reason, destiny put me in that situation, in this current situation, which is fine. Because I know I don't know. Everything that's happening has been waiting to happen since the beginning of time. Hi, Leo. Leo's just looking in here in the window. If you don't know Leo, he's a cat that lives outside. Sometimes I let inside. But he used to shit inside sometimes, so that kind of had it. But I think he learned not to shit inside anymore. I should be sitting up straight. My hair looks weird because I just took a bath. I'm in the shower, and I had the windows down. I'm driving, went to go pick up my son from the gym. Had a cool convo with him. Very interesting. So I didn't print out any of the stuff. So I'm gonna use my laptop today to go over what we're gonna go over. Um, yeah, man. I hope y'all are blessed, even if y'all had chaos in your Friday or during your week. I mean, you know, to exist is a miracle. So every moment we exist is a miracle, and that's hard to believe sometimes, but it is what it is, my friends. All right, so I am going to do. Man, I need some lotion for my hands. Where's my backpack? It's way over there. I'm gonna do some random questions to start off the show. Do you prefer to live in the heart of the city or out in the peaceful countryside? Well, man, I'm hungry. To the Friday podcast number 105. It's a joyous day because we are alive. And I have heartburn, and yesterday was crazy, but today was beautiful. I got a lot of sleep, so much REM sleep that I dreamed. I saw my son, picked him up from the gym before going to see him. I saw this big, beautiful monarch butterfly. When I got back home, little cricket in the restroom, picked him up, took him outside. He didn't even want to leave. I was like, all right, he was getting too close. Get out of me, bro. Going to the grass. I knew that. I was just like, and then I checked and he was good. Saw a lot of angel numbers when I was talking to my son while driving him to his mom's house. I saw 999. Seen 888 today, 77. I seen a lot of angel numbers. It's a beautiful day, man, in all aspects. I have $0, and I was supposed to go sell some cans, but I chose to sleep instead. But I have some comic books that I'm gonna go sell to half-price books, which I can do tomorrow. The cans I can do Monday. Tuesday gonna vote. Wednesday gonna tote. Nah, just kidding. Wednesday, you know, regular day. But yeah, man. Friday was chaotic. Kind of had to play a counselor role a couple times. It was pretty interesting. And then the weather was chaotic too, because it was like raining on and off, and then it got real bad. Today is just sunshine and butterflies, and I saw this flower growing from the concrete. It was a yellow flower, and I just recently, like maybe a day or two ago, shared a clip on Instagram of Tupac whenever he said, when he was explaining what rose from concrete meant, when you see a rose that grew from concrete, because it's beautiful, but yet people will complain about it and be like, oh, but it's like wilted, or it's tilted, or it's not as beautiful as it would be if it came from the dirt. And that is a resemblance of himself. But it's beautiful, man. Nature overcomes. Definitely overcomes. A creepy beat to just jump into. I still have this on remix. I need to take that off. Yeah, but you know, we're blessed despite the stress. So yeah, I hope y'all are feeling the same way. You know, hopefully not stressed, but blessed, relaxed. Still have some heartburn, but you know, it is what it is. I'm gonna fucking go through it because I got things to do today. Gotta record with the squad. Alright. Let's do a couple random questions and then we'll move on with the segments of the day. I had a page taken out. Alright, here's a good page. Question 2041 from the book of 3,000 questions about me. Shout out to Piccadilly. What do you think was the ugliest car model ever created? I don't know if you remember these, but there was this car called a Geo. Those were pretty lame. Um, yeah, that's the ugliest. What would be the coolest design for a birthday cake? Ooh, like a Mario, Super Mario Bros. Theme where it's like stacked, but the stacks are like they're square and they're like the mountains that he can jump on, and there's like villains, and or it could be like 3D Mario 3D World, but a Mario cake. How do you feel about plastic surgery? Well, I think it can save lives in a way by people. All right, so for instance, sometimes if a person gets in an accident and they're just deformed, that person may not want to live anymore. But because of plastic surgery, they can be returned to some sort of normalcy. Now, when it comes to people just wanting to do it just to do it, just to like look better, I mean, I don't think that it helps. And usually it makes it worse, and I don't agree with it, but I do agree everybody has the right to do whatever they want. But putting, we do this with food often, but putting alien or foreign objects within our body, I mean, just take what you got. Everybody's got something, you know? You don't need to get plastic surgery. Unless you need to get plastic surgery. Alright. What is the most outrageous question you've ever been asked by anyone? There's this one that I want to turn into a skit, but it's funny. Like, it's not really an outrageous question to me and him, but it would be to somebody else. And the skit is like, what if you have a friend that's like super woke, too woke, and you're just chilling, and then he just turns to you and says, "You been jacking off?" That's pretty crazy. Do you think chivalry is dead? ... Should it be? It's not dead, and it should not die. Long live chivalry. Chivalry is good, man. Having manners and shit, holding the door open. That's what chivalry is, right? I think holding the door open for a lady, offering to pick things up for them, which could be anti-feminist, but that's not. It's just because I think about my mom, especially older women. But yeah, you know, you never know. I don't mean offense to it. I'm like, hey, you need help or you got it? I think we need that because people just don't want to help nobody. That's a slippery fucking slope. What food item do you no longer allow yourself to eat? Oh man, there's several things, but I've been trying to stay away from sweets lately, which is hard to do sometimes. Damn, something I don't allow myself to eat. I still fuck with Chinese food when I can, but I really need to stop eating out. One of the things that I don't really... shrimp. I'm kind of like afraid to eat shrimp, like, cause now that I know what it does and what it goes through and what's in it, and there's... Sorry. What makes you feel unstoppable? Family, God, friends. Sometimes herbal remedies, caffeine, sometimes. Yeah, experiences. What makes me feel unstoppable? Yeah, experiences, man. That'll make you really getting through shit. Do you think it's better to be an only child or have siblings? Obviously, I think it's better to have siblings, at least one. To be an only child, I mean, I don't know, you know. I'm sure only childs like being only childs, or everybody looks at the other side. Cause I know that there's when kids are kids, they're like, "Oh, I wish I was only child," or "Oh, I wish I had brothers or sisters." In the end, you just gotta be grateful for what you get. I'm glad my son has brothers, even though I didn't provide those brothers for him. They're his, you know, half brothers, but definitely full brothers. How good are you at giving directions? Horrible. Use your GPS. I am horrible. And I think my son gets that from me too, because he was giving me directions one time and it was not that good. And my dad's bad at it too. Like, my mom always has to tell, like, he gets kind of lost in shit sometimes. I don't know what it is, man, but we were not, whoever the people are that guiders, navigators. What do you doubt more than anything? Ooh. The CDC. Nah, I don't know. The government sometimes. Pharmaceutical industry. I don't want to get taken off YouTube. What is the craziest thing you do in a limo? Bruh, if I'm in a limo, it depends on who I'm with. It depends on what kind of lifestyle I'm living. Of course, I can imagine the worst, the most heathenistic things possible. But also, just chilling, recording a podcast, laughing with the family, sipping. But the craziest, oh Lord. Well, if I had a girlfriend or a wife, you know, for sure we'd hook up in there. But yeah, in the old days, if I would have got rich and famous in the early 2000s, I would have been doing coke. I'd have been having menage a trois. I don't know if that's how you say it, plural, or if you're even supposed to say it plural. What makes you proud? My son, my family, kids when they overcome oppression, and when people overcome depression, and you overcome stress, and it's a blessing. Smith and Wesson, I'm just guessing. I'm confessing. All right, we're almost down to the last one. Let's see, where are we at? 13. Okay. What are 2 funny traits about your mom you can describe? Oh, she always uses her hands, which I do sometimes, but right now, for some reason, I haven't used my hands at all, because it hurts. So I hurt a little bit. It's kind of going away, but I heartburn, but gotta fight through it. Heartburn. When will I learn? When will I learn to not eat so much salty shit so quickly? What the bitch? Heartburn. Man, I got a lot to learn. Alright, so she does that, and then funny trait. She doesn't really drink or smoke or anything. That's not really funny though. She's little, she's short. Have you ever won anything? If so, what? Yeah. Well, I won. Oh, shit. Second place winner. Fuck it. It got kind of wet, so it's kind of damaged, but yeah. Dallas Fresh Air Coalition. Second place winner, Smoke Free Dallas Poster Contest, Category 1. March 10th, 1999. What the fuck were you doing in 1999? Were you winning poster contests? I don't think so. Nah, I'm just kidding. And then what was crazy is I got the contest win, My sister, I should put this right here because I'm at the cover of the name, I guess. I don't know. Shout out to LL Hotchkiss. My sister was in the newspaper. So that we went to downtown. We were over there by the library in Dallas. And there was another drawing contest or some shit. And not another contest, but they were letting the kids draw. And they took a picture of Yvette drawing a poster. So my name got mentioned, but she was in the picture, which was pretty cool because I got that and she got that, and it was like, whoa. The beginning of stardom. Let's see. Last question. Do you root for the underdogs? If so, of course, who is your favorite underdog from literature? Harry Potter. If that's the one I can think of right now. Because dude really was fucking tormented and traumatized by his aunt and his uncle. Let's see. All right, let's move on. Man, that took a long time. All right. Let's switch. But I'm not gonna stop recording. We're back. This week we're doing angel number 454. Sacred Scribes, angelnumbers.blogspot.com says 454 is a message that the angels are helping you with the current project that will bring necessary changes to your life. The secret of the tarot.com says that 454 signifies you need to plan your life more. Do not get into any ventures or projects without a clear-cut plan. Sunsigns.org says assurance is a signature of angel number 454. This is a stamp of faith by the angels. The angel numbers want you to know that they have faith in you, or the angels. TrustedPsychicMediums.com says that 454 is a reminder to tell you that you are destined to greatness. Numerology Nation says 454 is sent to us as a message that we need to come up with a good plan of how to live our lives. Seems to be one of the main ones, planning. NumerologySign.com says when you find yourself noticing 454, it is a clear message that something is holding you back from doing what you need to do. That could be anything. That could be a thought. That could be a person. That could be anything. And it's just one possible meaning. Angelnumber.org says that it means it's calling you to focus on accomplishing your goals and desires in your life. JoyNumber.com says that 454 is said to encourage you to give love a chance. Hope-tastic says that it is a powerful message from the universe telling us that we're on the right path in life. Sometimes I do it too. I think I said that earlier. SimplySymbolism.com. No, I'm really doing it. That's just weird. 454 is reassuring you that you should move forward with your plans and make the changes you've been working towards. Last one, Zodiac Signs /horoscope.com says it is a test of character. When you are patient for the big breakthrough, angels expose you to abundance and greatness. Nice. Want to make changes to it? All right, let's see what's the next one. All right, this is kind of gross, but I figure I might as well do it because I'm running out of animals. And I'm going to have to find another segment, or I'm going to just have to turn all these into clips, or we'll figure it out. Okay. Roaches. The grossest. And the toastest. Okay. WhatisMySpiritAnimal.com says the cockroach, as a spirit animal, brings several potential messages into your life. The most important one is about survival. Spirit-animals.com says that the totem of the roach, they're life's best survivors. These individuals can pass through fire without getting burnt. Oh, if they have that as the totem, yeah. MillersGuild.com says that often loathed as creepy and filthy, they're one of the most grounded spirit animals. They symbolize healthy friendships and communities. I'm getting the heebie-jeebies just talking about it. SpiritAnimalDreams.com says it is a spirit animal closely related to your survival instincts. When you keep encountering this animal, get ready for the tough times ahead. Ooh. I mean, if you're living in a, like, So when I was a kid, we lived in some I was a baby actually. We lived in some apartments in North Dallas. Shout out to D-Town. And there was roaches. There was a lot of roaches in it. It's by now where the Super Target is, where it used to be the Medallion Center. There used to be a movie theater there and stuff. And I think it was a movie theater. That was just a fucking dream, or I had a dream about it. But I think it was the Medallion Center. Anyway, my mom said what made her decide, like, this is it, we're out of here, was there was a roach on the nipple of my bottom. Definitely there was tough times after that, but I don't know. It's interesting. When I had like a very interesting day, there was a wolf spider I saw in the morning. There was one day where I saw just a little cute jumping spider. And it was just like a little challenge. And this could be coincidence, or this could just be a sign. Prepare yourself. And I don't really see roaches that often, but when I do, it's like, oh, maybe there's a reason. Also, whatdreammeans.com says that they are symbols of durability, endurance, and continuance. They have been around since the time of dinosaurs. Holy shit. Cockroaches keep the darkness around us. I don't know what the fuck it means. Angelicalbalance.com says that the cockroach is a symbol of strength. Symbolsandsynchronicity.com says when you see one, spirit is asking you to pay attention to areas of change in your life. OnlyFlow.com says this creature is often able to survive from any attempt to end their life. It makes them the symbol for long life, refreshment, rebirth, and rejuvenation. Disgusting. I almost can't finish this. GuideYourPet.com says that they symbolize community, specifically love, friendship, and trust. SarahYip.com says that they represent authenticity. They don't hide who they are or what they do. Well, they kind of do in the light they scatter. SymbolismandMetaphor.com says that the cockroach is a symbol of triumph, as the cockroach is widely known to be resilient and a hardy insect. It's also a beetle, I think. Worldbirds.com says that the spirit animal helps you connect to the divine, heightening your senses, definitely heightening the senses, like I get goosebumps and shit. Teaching you to believe in your instincts and spiritual guidance. Let's move on. What's next? Okay, Speed Racer. I'm going to take a break before I do that. Oh no, I got some anxiety news too before I do the movie. But I need to log on to the internet, so we'll be right back, my friends. All right. Welcome back. News. Now, I'm going to go ahead and call it anxiety news because whatever, but I'm also going to try to calm some anxiety. Hopefully. It's from MSN, but also, no, it's from MSN. So, the Pentagon recently said that UFOs are Chinese surveillance drones and airborne clutter. Chinese surveillance drones. Intelligence agencies in the U.S. have spent the last few years analyzing footage of hundreds of recent UFO encounters, and they want the American people to know. Still not aliens. According to several U.S. Department of Defense officials who spoke anonymously to the New York Times last week, of all publications, many recent sightings of UFOs or unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, as the government prefers to call them, are likely just observations of foreign surveillance operations or airborne clutters such as weather balloons. Several UAP incidents have been officially identified as relatively ordinary Chinese surveillance drones. The anonymous official said China have previously stolen plans for advanced U.S. fighter planes and is interested in how the U.S. trains its pilots. The DoD officials added, what does that have to do with anything? Other UAP sightings recorded by military aircraft, which appear to show airborne objects moving in seemingly physics-defying ways, are likely the results of optical illusions. This includes the infamous video known as Go Fast, which was recorded by a U.S. Navy aircraft and leaked to the media in 2018. The video, along with 2 other leaked films of military encounters with UAPs, was eventually declassified by the government. While the object in the Go Fast video appears to be zooming over the water at incomprehensible speeds, this is just an optical illusion created by the angle of the recording relative to the water, the DoD official said to the Times. In reality, the object is moving at no more than 30 miles per hour, or 48 kilometers per hour, the officials added. A classified UAP report delivered to Congress this week by the DoD's intelligence agencies likely included the findings reported by the Times. The new report adds new details to cases described in a document that the officials have publicly released in 2021. Describing 144 alleged UAP incidents reported by U.S. government personnel between 2004 to 2021. The 2021 report acknowledged that due to a lack of high-quality data, most alleged UAP encounters could not be conclusively explained. However, the report offered several blanket explanations for UAP in general, including technologies deployed by China, Russia, another nation, or non-governmental entity, as well as airborne clutters such as birds and weather balloons. Now that's the key. A non-governmental agency. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah. That's pretty interesting. This was originally published in Live Science. So don't have anxiety. It's not aliens. I don't know, man. I still think it's Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam is the ability to put realistic looking objects in the sky. Like the way that they do I can't think of the name. They had Tupac. When you holographic shit. So I think there's holographic abilities that us and many other people have, and we can just project shit into the sky. And that's what I think it is. Or it's us. Could be us. Who knows? But it's usually not what the official thing says, in my opinion. Alright. Movie review. Man, what it do? Steady coming through with the what damn crew. Ha. Ha 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 ha. Welcome back. Right now, today, we are going to do the movie review for Speed Racer. Now, Speed Racer, I never watched the cartoon at all. But the movie is interesting because it was directed or created or written or whatever by the Wachowskis, who are the same former brothers, now sisters, who created the original Matrix and the movie V for Vendetta. Alright, so Speed Racer is a 2008 sports action comedy film written and directed by the Wachowskis. It's based on the 1960s manga and anime series of the same name. Oh, that's tight. I didn't know they had a manga for Speed Racer, but that makes complete sense. It starred Emily Hirsch, Christina Ricci, John Goodman. He was pretty cool in it. Susan Sarandon, Matthew Fox, Roger Allam. I don't know a lot of these. Benno Furman, Hiroyuki Sanada, Rain, and Richard Roundtree. The plot revolves around Speed Racer. It's his name. His last name is Racer. An 18-year-old automobile racer who follows his apparently deceased brother's career, choosing to remain loyal to his family and their company, Racer Motors, which caused difficulty after he refuses a contract that E.P. Arnold Royalton, owner of Royalton Industries, offers him. So he doesn't want to sell out, basically, to the big brother. A live-action Speed Racer film had been in development since 1990. And so this is Wikipedia, and it says a live-action, I guess because anybody can write it. But it actually says a live-action Speed Racer film had been in development, since 1992, having changed actors and filmmakers until in 2006, when producer Joel Silver and the Wachowskis collaborated to begin production on Speed Racer as a family film. It was shot in and around Potsdam and Berlin from June to August 2007. Shout out to 07, baby. Class of 07. Michael Giacchino composed the film's score. Shout out to Louis Beats Productions for most of the beats that I use on the podcast. I forget to put it into the credits and the description often, most of the time. And I love you, man. Thank you for making all these beats. One I'm gonna use soon on a new upcoming project. For sure, at least one. So it came out, it premiered on April 26, 08. 08, I love 08 too, because when my son was born. Followed by its general theatrical release on May 9th, 08 by Warner Bros. The film grossed I almost wanted to say that joke that used to be on a lot of t-shirts. It was like the Warner Brothers symbol, and then it was like, if you see the cops, Warner Brother. The film grossed $93 million on a $120 million budget, making it a failure. It was subsequently nominated in multiple categories at the Teen Choice Awards as well as the Golden Raspberry Awards. Upon initial release, the film received mixed reviews, who praised the action sequences, musical score, cinematography, performances. Critics were divided on its overuse of computer-generated imagery and criticized its screenplay and runtime. In subsequent years, Speed Racer has garnered a strong cult following, with some commentators calling it underrated and a misunderstood film. Speed Racer is a young man whose life and love has always been automobile racing. His parents, Pops and Mom, run the independent Racer Motors, in which his brother Spriddle and his pet Chim Chim, I don't even remember the monkey in the movie, his mechanic Sparky and his girlfriend Trixie are also involved. As a child, Speed idolized his record-setting older brother Rex Racer, who apparently was killed while racing in the Casa Cristo 5000, a deadly cross-country rally race. Now embarking on his own career, Speed is quickly sweeping the racing world with his skill behind the wheel of his brother's Mach 5 and his own T180 car, the Mach 6, although primarily interested in the art of the race and the well-being of his family. He's not really worried about winning. He doesn't give a fuck about that. He's a simple man, humble. So one day, E.P. Arnold Royalton, CEO of conglomerate Royalton Industries, offers Speed an astoundingly luxurious lifestyle, basically for selling his soul, in exchange for signing a race with him. Though tempted, Speed declines because his father's distrust of power-hungry corporations. Angered, Royalton reveals that for many years, key races have been fixed by corporate interest, including himself, to gain profits. Royalton takes out his anger on Speed by having his drivers force Speed into a crash that destroys the Mach 6, and suing Racer Motors, I keep saying Motors, for intellectual property infringement. Speed gets an opportunity to retaliate through Inspector Detector, head of an intelligence agency's corporate crimes division. Racer Taijo Togokan supposedly has evidence that could indict Royalton, but will only offer it up if Speed and the notorious Mass Racer X agree to race on his team in the upcoming Casa Cristo 5000, which could also substantially raise the stock price of his family's racing business, blocking a Royalton-arranged buyout. Speed agrees, but keeps his decision secret from his family. And detectives team makes several defensive modifications to the Mach 5 to assist Speed in the race. I think I'm ready to take a sip of this now. After they drive together and work naturally as a team, Speed begins suspecting that Racer X is actually Rex in disguise. His family discovers that he has entered the race and agree to support him, though Pops is angry with him for not asking permission to race earlier. With his family and Trixie aiding him, Speed defeats many brutal racers who were bribed by Fixer Crunch Block to stop him and overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles to win the race, while detectives team arrests Block. However, Tejo's arrangement is revealed to be a sham, as he's only interested in increasing the value of his family's company to profit from Royalton's buyout. Enraged, Speed hits the track that he used to drive with his brother and confronts Racer X with his suspicion that he is Rex. He removes his mask, revealing an unfamiliar face, and tells Speed that Rex is indeed dead, but advises Speed to not let racing change the way he is and figure out his own driving. Speed returns home and plans to leave, but Pops expresses his pride in Speed's actions and that he was wrong to not let Speed enter the race since his own stubbornness drove Rex away, before finding out about the race-fixing conspiracy. Alright, so the family bands together, they build a new Mach 6 in 32 hours. Speed enters the Grand Prix against great odds. Royalton has placed a $1 million bounty on his head that other drivers are eager to collect, and is pitted against the future Hall of Fame driver Jack Cannonball Taylor. Okay, I'm almost done with what it's about and shit. Speed overcomes a slow start to catch up with Taylor, who uses a cheap device called a spearhook to latch Mach 6 to his own car. Speed uses his jump jacks to reveal the device to video cameras, causing Taylor to crash and lose. Speed wins the race, having successfully exposed Royalton's crimes. While Racer X watches, a flashback montage reveals that he really is Rex, having faked his death, attending his own funeral, and undergone plastic surgery. We just talked about plastic surgery earlier. To change his appearance as part of his plan to protect Speed in racing. He chooses not to reveal his identity to his family, declaring that he must live with his decision. The Racer family celebrates Speed's victory as Speed and Trixie kiss. Tejo testifies against Royalton and Block, and Royalton is sent to jail for his actions. Yo, it's a great premise, and it was shown to me by Vino, because he said, like, they were like really, like, there's conspiracy theories about why they may have possibly changed genders for protection, because they did some really intelligent, real woke, I'm talking about conscious shit. So they've been planning a movie since '92. In '95, I thought this was interesting. In '95, Johnny Depp was cast in the lead role. But he couldn't do it. Then they gave it up. '97, they tried to do it. September 2000, they hired some people. They hired Hype Williams to take the helm of the project. Interesting. In June 2004, Vince Vaughn spearheaded a revival of the project. Vaughn was cast as Racer X and was also attached to the project as an executive producer. I think it would have been a lot funnier if Vaughn was in it. I was just telling my son about Vince Vaughn, about Dodgeball. In '06, the Wachowskis were brought on board by the studio to write and direct the film. Producer Joel Silver, who had collaborated with the Wachowskis for V for Vendetta and the Matrix trilogy, explained that they were hoping to reach a broader audience with a film that would not be rated R by the Motion Picture Association of America. Visual effects designer John Gaeta, who won an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects for the Wachowskis' The Matrix, was brought in to help conceive making Speed Racer into a live-action adaptation. Production was set to begin in summer of '07. Damn, my graduation. In European locations for a summer 2008 release, my son's birth. In November of '06, the release date for it was set for May 23rd, 2008. Producer Joel Silver described Speed Racer as a family film in line with Wachowski's goal to reach a wider audience, wake people up. So there was a possible sequel discussed. In '08, the possibility was contemplated. They wrote. Long story short, they wrote a script in 2018. So since this shit takes years and years and years to make, there's a possibility that it might come out in a few years or something. That'd be pretty tight. Yeah, man. Now that I read about it again and thinking about it, I mean, it's pretty good. I give it a 4.5. It's pretty amazing. All right, we got one more section, and I gotta answer some text again. I should have put it in airplane mode. Yeah, I'm just swallowing more air than water because this is almost empty. Alright. Badass woman in history, possibly. Margaret Higgins Sanger. Born September 14th, 1879 and passed September 6th, 1966. She was American-born birth control activist, sex educator, writer, nurse. She popularized the term birth control, opened the first birth control clinic in the United States, and established organizations that evolved into the Planned Parenthood Federation of America. So this one is Margaret Sanger used her writings and speeches primarily to promote her way of thinking. She was prosecuted for her book, Family Limitation, under the Comstock Act in 1914. She feared the consequences of her writings, so she fled to Britain until public opinion had quieted. Let's see. Sanger's efforts contributed to several judicial cases that helped legalize contraception in the U.S. Due to her connection with Planned Parenthood, Sanger is frequently criticized by opponents of abortion. However, Sanger drew a sharp distinction between birth control and abortion and was opposed to abortions throughout the bulk of her professional career, declining to participate in them as a nurse. Not a lot of people know this. Sanger remains an admired figure in the American reproductive rights movement. She has also been criticized for supporting eugenics. In 1960, Sanger opened up the first birth control clinic in the United States. Yo, I'm gonna look up eugenics, which led to her arrest for distributing information on contraception after an undercover policewoman bought a copy eugenics for a pamphlet on family planning. Her subsequent trial and appeal generated controversy. Sanger felt that in order for women to have more equal footing in society and lead to healthier lives, they needed to be able to determine when to bear children. She also wanted to prevent the so-called back alley abortions, which were common at the time because abortions were illegal in the United States. She believed that while abortion may be a viable option in life-threatening situations for the pregnant, it should generally be avoided. She considered contraception the only practical way to avoid them. Eugenics is a fringe set of beliefs, going back to what eugenics was, and practices that aim to improve the genetic quality of a human population. Historically, eugenics have attempted to alter human gene pools by excluding people and groups judged to be inferior or promoting those judged to be superior. That sounds iffy. But interesting. I mean, not in a good way. Alright. Let's see. In 1921, Sanger founded the American Birth Control League, which later became the Planned Parenthood Federation of America. In New York City, she organized the first birth control clinic to be staffed by all female doctors, as well as a clinic in Harlem, which had an all African American advisory council, where African American staff were later added. In 1929, she formed the National Committee on Federal Legislation for Birth Control, which served as the focal point of her lobbying efforts to legalize contraception in the United States. From 52 to 59, 1959, she served as president of the International Planned Parenthood Federation. She died in 1966 and is widely regarded as founder of the modern birth control movement. Now let's go into her childhood. She was born Margaret Louise Higgins in 1879 in Corning, New York, to Irish Catholic parents, a free-thinking stonemason father, Michael Hennessy Higgins, and Anne Purcell Higgins. Michael had immigrated to the United States age 14, joining the Army in the Civil War as a drummer age 15. Upon leaving the Army, he studied medicine and phrenology. He didn't say what side he joins. It doesn't matter. But if they don't say, then it's probably on the south side. South side? South side? Upon leaving the Army, he studied medicine and phrenology, but ultimately became a stonecutter, chiseling out angels, saints, and tombstones. Michael became an atheist and an activist for women's suffrage and free publication. Whoa, so something happened where he became an atheist. Annie, it's the church, man. The church put off so many people. Annie accompanied her family to Canada during the Great Famine. She married Michael in 1869. In 22 years, who the fuck is Michael? Oh, Anne is the mom. Anne accompanied her family to Canada during the Great Famine. She married Michael in 1869. In 22 years, Anne Higgins conceived 18 times, birthing 11 alive before dying age 49. Sanger was the sixth of 11 surviving children, spending her early years in a bustling household. Supported by her two older sisters, Margaret Higgins attended Claverack College and Hudson River Institute before enrolling in 1900 at shout out to class of 1900 at White Plains Hospital as a nurse probationer. In 1902, she married architect William Sanger, giving up her education. Suffering from consumption, reoccurring active tubercular, Margaret Sanger was able to bear 3 children, and the 5 settled down to a quiet life in Westchester, New York. Margaret would become a member of an Episcopal church, which would later hold her funeral service. In 1911, after a fire destroyed their home in Hastings-on-Hudson, the Sangers abandoned the suburbs for a new life in New York City. Margaret Sanger worked as a visiting nurse in the slums of the East Side, while her husband worked as an architect and a house painter. The couple became active in local socialist politics. She joined the Women's Committee of the New York Socialist Party, took part in the labor actions of the industrial workers of the world, including the notable 1912 Lawrence Textile. But I understand why. I get it. Strike in the 1913 Patterson Silk Strike, and became involved with local intellectuals, left-wing artists, socialists, and social activists, including John Reed, Upton Sinclair, Mabel Dodge, and Emma Goldman. She got in with Hollywood. No, I'm just kidding. Her political interests, her emerging feminism, and her nursing experiments led her to write 2 series of columns on sex education, which were titled What Every Mother Should Know and What Every Girl Should Know. So the What Every Mother Should Know came out in 1911, 1912, and the other one came out in 1912, 1913. For the socialist magazine New York Call. By the standards of the day, Sanger's articles were extremely frank in their discussion of sexuality, and many New York Call readers were outraged by them. Other readers, however, praised the series for its candor. One stated that the series contained a purer morality than the whole library is full of hypocritical cant about modesty. Both were published in book form in 1916. During her work amongst immigrant class women, she met women who underwent frequent childbirth, miscarriages, and self-induced abortions for lack of information on how to avoid unwanted pregnancy. That is very helpful, man. Leave me you. Shout out to birth control. So let's see. Let me scoot through some stuff because this is 10 whole pages. She became estranged from her husband in 1913. The couple's divorce was finalized in 21. She married her second husband in 1922, James Noah H. Lee. Alright, 1914, she launched The Woman Rebel, an 8-page monthly newsletter which promoted contraception using the slogan, "No gods, no masters." Sanger, collaborating with anarchist friends, popularized the term birth control as a more candid alternative to euphemisms such as family limitation. The term birth control was suggested in 1914 by a young friend called Otto Bobsty. Sanger proclaimed that each woman should be the absolute mistress of her own body. In the early years of Sanger's activism, she viewed birth control as a free speech issue, and when she started publishing The Woman Rebel, one of her goals was to provoke a legal challenge to the federal anti-obscenity laws, which banned dissemination of information about contraception. So if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't even be able to talk about this right now. So, most great people in history are not perfect. That's what you gotta remember. So if you may disagree or agree with some aspects, that's okay. You don't have to just write a person off for what they did for history. So she had a 16-page pamphlet containing detailed, precise information and graphic descriptions of various contraceptive methods, a how-to per se. And in August 1914, she was indicted for violating postal obscenity laws by sending The Woman Rebel through the postal system. Rather than stand trial, she fled the country. She spent much of her 1914 exile in England, where contact with British neo-Malthusians such as Charles Vickery Drysdale helped refine her socioeconomic justifications for birth control. She said that overpopulation led to poverty, famine, and war. I mean, there's some clout to that. Let's see. She came back. When did she come back? All right, after World War I, this is interesting. Sanger shifted away from radical politics, and she founded the American Birth Control League, the ABCL, in 1921 to enlarge her base of supporters to include the middle class. The founding principles of the ABCL were as follows. We hold that children should be conceived in love. Number 2, born of the mother's conscious desire. Number 3, and only begotten under conditions which render possible the heritage of health. Therefore, we hold that every woman must possess the power and freedom to prevent conception, except when these conditions can't be satisfied. So after her conviction for the Brownsville Clinic secured because she had a clinic, she opened up a clinic, and I passed that up. I guess she got in trouble for the clinic. She smuggled diaphragms. Oh, no. Her husband smuggled diaphragms in New York through Canada in boxes labeled as 3-in-1 oil. He later became the first legal manufacturer of diaphragms in the United States. Some countries in Northwestern Europe had more liberal policies toward contraception than the United States at the time. And when Sanger visited a Dutch birth control clinic in 1915, she learned about diaphragms and became convinced that they were more effective means of contraception than the suppositories and douches that she had been distributing back in the United States. Diaphragms were generally unavailable in the U.S., so Sanger and others began importing them from Europe in defiance of United States law. On October 16, 1916, she opened a family planning and birth control clinic at 46 Amboy Street in the Brownsville neighborhood of Brooklyn, the first of its kind in the United States. 9 days after the clinic opened, Sanger was arrested. Her bail was set at $500 and she went back home. She continued seeing some women in the clinic until the police came a second time. This time, Sanger and her sister Ethel Byrne were arrested for breaking a New York state law that prohibited distribution of contraceptives. Sanger was also charged with running a public nuisance. They went to trial in January of 1917. She was convicted and sentenced to 30 days in the workhouse, but went on a hunger strike. She was force-fed. Oof. Have y'all seen that force-fed shit? Who did it? Mos Def did it one time. Yazin Bey. She was forfeit, the first woman hunger striker in the U.S. to be so treated. Only when she pledged that Byrne would never break the law was she pardoned after 10 days. She was convicted, held that women did not have the right to copulate with the feeling of security that there would be no results in conception. Man. The judge held that women did not have the right to copulate with the feeling of security that there will be no resulting conception. Bro. Sanger was offered a more lenient sentence if she promised to not break the law again, but she replied, "I cannot respect the law as it exists today." For this, she was sentenced to 30 days in the workhouse. An initial appeal was rejected, but in subsequent court proceeding in 1918, the birth control movement won a victory when Judge Frederick E. Crane of the New York Court of Appeals issued a ruling which allowed doctors to prescribe contraception. The publicity surrounding Sanger's arrest, trial, and appeal sparked birth control activism across the U.S. and earned the support of numerous donors who would provide her with funding and support for her future endeavors. That's pretty tight. In February of 1917, she began publishing the monthly periodical Birth Control Review. Let's see. After World War I, she shifted away from radical politics and she found the ABCL, and that's what I said earlier. Now, this is where it gets a little shaky because John D. Rockefeller Jr. donated a lot of money to her. Which, I mean, there could be two reasons that somebody wants contraception available. One for safe and healthy, the other for less people. For some people. Yo. So it says that she worked with African American leaders and professionals who saw a need for birth control in their communities. In 1929, James H. Hubert, a black social worker and the leader of New York's Urban League, asked Sanger to open a clinic in Harlem. She secured funding from the Julius Rosenwald Fund and opened the clinic, staffed with black doctors, in 1930. The clinic was directed by a 15-member advisory board consisting of black doctors, nurses, clergy, journalists, and social workers. The clinic was publicized in the African American press as well as in black churches, and it received the approval of W.E.B. Du Bois, the co-founder of the NAACP and the editor of its magazine, The Crisis. She did not tolerate bigotry among her staff, nor would she tolerate any refusal to work within interracial projects. Sanger's work with minorities earned praise from Coretta and Martin Luther King Jr. when he was not able to attend his Margaret Sanger Award ceremony in 1966 of May. Mrs. King read her husband's acceptance speech that praised Sanger, but said her own words, "Because of Sanger's dedication, her deep convictions, and for her suffering for what she believed in, I would like to say that I'm proud to be a woman tonight." Damn. That's pretty tight. People don't talk about that a lot. Now, she also opposed so even though she wanted this contraceptive control, she did oppose excessive sexual indulgence, according to Wikipedia. She wrote that every normal man and woman has the power to control and direct his sexual impulse. Men and women who have it in control and constantly use their brain cells thinking deeply are never sensual. Sanger said that birth control would elevate women away from the position of being objects of lust and elevate sex away from an activity that was purely being engaged in for the purpose of satisfying lust, saying that the birth control denies that sex should be reduced to the position of sensual lust or that women should permit herself to be instruments of its satisfaction. She wrote that masturbation was dangerous. She stated, in my personal experience as a trained nurse while attending persons afflicted with various and often revolting diseases, no matter what their ailments, I never found anyone so repulsive as the chronic masturbator. It would not be difficult to fill page upon page of heart-rending confessions made by young girls whose lives were blighted by this pernicious habit, always begun so innocently. She believed that women had the ability to control their sexual impulses and should utilize that control to avoid sex outside of relationships marked by confidence and respect. She believed that exercising such control would lead to the strongest and most sacred passion. She maintained links with affiliates of the British Society for the Study of Sex Psychology, which contained a number of high-profile gay men and sexual reformers as members, and gave a speech to the group on the issue of sexual continence. She later praised Ellis for clarifying the question of homosexuals, making the thing not exactly a perverted thing, but a thing that a person is born with different kind of eyes, different kinds of structures, and so forth. That he didn't make all homosexuals perverts, and I thought he helped clarify that to the medical profession, to the scientists, and the world, as perhaps one of the first ones to do that. Freedom of speech. She opposed censorship throughout her career. Grew up in a home where orator Robert Ingersoll is admired. She viewed birth control as a free speech issue rather than as a feminist issue. Yeah, man. So, you know, it is what it is. People have a role, and if ain't nobody hating, then you're doing something wrong. She was against Nazi eugenics program and donated to the American Council Against Nazi Propaganda. Whoa. I'm going to read this word for word. Sanger's eugenics, and we're going to wrap this up. This is a good way to wrap the episode. Sanger's eugenics policies included an exclusionary immigration policy, free access to birth control methods, and full family planning autonomy for the able-minded, as well as compulsory segregation or sterilization for the profoundly retarded, quote unquote. Sanger wrote, "We do not believe that the community could or should send to the lethal chamber the defective progeny resulting from irresponsible and unintelligent breeding." In The Pivot of Civilization, she criticized certain charity organizations for providing free obstetric and immediate post-birth care to indigent women without also providing information about birth control nor any assistance in raising or educating the children. By such charity, she wrote, I'm confused now. The poor woman is taught how to have her seventh child, when what she wants to know is how to avoid bringing into the world her eighth. Get poorer and poorer sometimes. And I understand, both sides to every argument. Most arguments, not all arguments. A lot of crazy arguments. And that brings us to the end, my friends, of another Friday podcast. And I gotta get ready to go to the iPod squad. So let me try to bust the flow like a motherfucking pro. About to chill with my bros. Smoke until we talk slow. Man, I feel faded and elevated. And I never hated on nobody. I do my own thing. I'm looking at a fucking halo ring of a light. I'm feeling tight. Fuck a Sprite. It's lemon lime energy drink. It's clean. Man, life is but a dream. Man, I'm flying in the sky. Haters wanna know why. And I tell them why not. Why not? Why not? I'm about to hit up on some pot, and these haters stop and they talk and glare. I don't care when they stop and stare. I be like, man, who's down there? There's some haters that they look like ants. Man, it be hard to walk in my shoes or my pants for anybody, especially Lance from NSYNC. Man, men who drink, men who think. Sometimes they're not the same. Men who blink, men who stink. Man, sometimes they're not the same. Man, I'm so insane. Straight in the brain and the membrane. Man, I'm so insane. Man, I just said that I used to go by Kane. Even I used to do Kane. Man, I'm lifting Mary Jane up to the sky. With me she goes. Every time I drop some flows. Every time I spit. Every time I drop some rhymes in the motherfucking pie. Like American. Like I don't know, man. I'm tired and I gotta go. And I love y'all. See you on the next one. Peace.